That's what they say.
Hard work,
Hard work, I earn my pay.
hard work.
Welcome to the Brunner podcast. We have a special guest today, someone that I'm really excited about and looking forward to chatting with. He's got 10 plus years in the military, working in the Marine Corps right now. He is going to give you the fire or the spark to pursue and overcome your fears. He is the host of Extraordinary Thoughts for the Ordinary Mind. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you my boy Meech, aka Demetrius Thigpen. Thanks for having me, brother, and thanks for coming on to the show. I'm super excited to have you.
What's going on, everybody? It's that ordinary podcaster with the extraordinary thoughts that tells you to stop being great and be extraordinary. Yo, I'm excited to be here. Like I've been waiting. As soon as you invited me to come on, I've been counting the days down, like nonstop. Like, all right. So we're locking this in. This is happening Sunday. Make sure that we're good for Sunday. I'm happy to be here, man. Truly happy to be here, bro.
My man, and I was telling you, like we were talking about earlier before we even got this rolling, what got me so stoked and excited to get you on to the show was just your relatability to people and giving people that spark and motivation that not a lot of people get or hear from. And one of the biggest topics that we'll discuss later in the podcast is the difference between having a motivation or being inspired. And before we get into all of that, all the detail, what I really want to do for my audience and for your audience too, if this is the first time tuning in and listening, just give us a little background of you, where you came from, and we'll just go from there.
All right, so for those who don't know, I've been in the United States Marine Corps for 10 years. I came in 2009, and you know what's so crazy about the situation, and I even go further back, but the crazy part about it is I had no intentions of ever joining the Marine Corps. When I had walked in the recruiter's office, I didn't know how to differentiate between uniforms or whatever branches. I only thought America had Army, Air Force, and Navy. I didn't know there was a Coast Guard. I didn't know there was a Marine Corps. So I walked in thinking I was going to join the Air Force. And I had this full conversation with this guy, and he said, so, you know, what do you think? And I looked at him, I was like, so what do you think of the Air Force? And he's like, what the fuck? He's like, what's the Air Force? And he's like, you know, and he starts like yelling at me about it. He's like, you're in the Marine Corps office. And I'm like, all right, man, I guess this is it. You know, I guess, you know, there ain't no Air Force. Mm-hmm. But I'm born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. And I grew up in a single parent household. Wow. And it didn't initially start as a single parent household. See, my mom, when she met my dad, I know for a fact, she did not expect to be raising two kids, me and my sister, by herself. But my father was an alcoholic. Mm-hmm. And one of my fondest memories was when my dad sat me down at the age of, I think I was like 8 or 7. And he told me that I was going to be the man of the house.
Wow.
And I didn't understand it because I was thinking to myself, like, what do you mean I'm going to be the man of the house? What you mean that you're about to go away? Mm-hmm. You know, and that's when I finally realized what an alcoholic was. Mm-hmm. And, you know, by definition, obviously there's somebody that's addicted to alcohol, but an alcoholic to a person that's not an alcoholic or doesn't drink or is affected by it, mm-hmm. It's a nonstop pain. And let me rephrase, it's not a nonstop pain. It's a pain that comes and goes. And when I say that it's a pain that comes and goes, my dad would come in my life and then he would leave out of my life. Yeah. And I remember, you know, he sat me down at 8. I didn't see him until I was 11. Fast forward, I ain't see, you know, he left at 11. I ain't see him until I was 13. 13, I ain't see him until I was 15. 15, I didn't see him until I was 18. So that was a constant thing. Rather than spend time, it felt like I was actually like catching him up on the years that he just missed.
Right.
Not to mention, we grew up poor. And I always joke about it with my wife. I always tell her, like, these kids got it better than us. They got it made. You know, I remember when the neighbors had to toss the extension cord over to our house so we could turn the microwave on. Wow. You know, I remember, you know, we grew up so poor that it was just like, damn. You know, I wonder if my dad was around, would he had help? Mm-hmm. Or why the hell we growing up so poor? Why we got to go to school like this? Why we got to live like this? So when I joined the military, everybody else around me had joined in this idea that, oh, you know, I want to, you know, for pride, for family, for country. I literally needed to get out of Detroit.
Wow. Because
it was either I was going to stay and sell drugs or B, go to jail. It was either or.
Man, that whole environment too, you have to make that decision for what's best for your family and for you. You know, you surround yourself with people that are making bad decisions or just put in an environment where they feel like they have to do sell drugs or get involved in violence or what have you. But man, like that had to have been tough to have that decision and just, this is what I have to do and this is how I'm going to do it, and be that father figure at 8. You said 8?
Yeah.
Man,
You
how
know,
old your sister?
We're 18 months apart. So when he had that conversation with me, she was 6 going on 7. And for the entire time with our lives, me and my sister have always been close. And we're close because my older brother is 15 years apart from us.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know what happened between my mom and what I'm gonna have a baby at 17, 15 years later, I'm gonna have these 2 other kids. Like, you could have got him you see what I'm saying? Like, get him a dog. You come back with a baby.
Yeah, what? Exactly.
That's
crazy.
And then to make it worse is that my brother, his oldest child is 2 years younger than me. So he can't raise me. He about to be a parent in 2 years. So me and my sister, we grew up and we were all we ever had. I remember my mom would have to work early in the morning. So I would wake my sister up. I would make her school lunches. I would help her get ready for school. I would do all of these things. Me and my sister have literally just always been like that. And and it's, you have some type of animosity towards a lot of situations. You have animosity towards everybody. Like, why the hell is our lives like this? Everybody else is celebrating Christmas. Everybody else is celebrating their birthdays. Everybody else get to celebrate these holidays. Meanwhile, we got to act like they not even here. Everybody else got these fathers and stuff like that. Meanwhile, my father a drunk somewhere downtown. And now here I am helping raise my sister, being my sister's father figure when I should be her brother. And I didn't realize that until I became a parent, how important it was to be in your child's life. Like I look at my kids now and I think to them, like, I can't teach my daughter how to be a woman, but I can teach her how a woman is supposed to be treated.
Right.
And I teach my son, I look at my son and I'm like, I couldn't imagine a day where I'm not in your life. So it definitely was
as far as teaching your kid, or more specifically your son, what do you, as far as values, how do you want to teach him, whether it's teaching how to win or teaching how to build confidence in himself? What are some strategies that you have for him?
One thing that I've always tried to instill into them is we can't quit. It's not that we don't quit, we can't quit. You don't have that luxury to quit. I didn't have that luxury to quit, and I'm not going to raise you to be a quitter. And because we don't quit, we don't say we can't do anything. There's no such thing as can't. It is either you can do it now or you're going to be able to do it later. But there's no can't. And if you teach them not to quit, you're going to teach them resilience. You're going to teach them a work ethic that is going to be able to differentiate between the person next to him. It's going to be that job ending thing right there, because he does not quit. He keeps going regardless of the situation, when somebody else is probably going to tap out when things get hard. Right.
It's getting ahead and breaking through those overcoming obstacles. Let's dive right into it. Thank you for sharing a little bit about your background. I think that's very powerful, and that'll reside into a lot of people's lives, and I think that can relate to them. I know me personally, in my family, the battle of alcohol and overcoming alcoholism is something serious in my family too, and it's hard to come by and it's hard to witness or see. And I just think those words and how you articulated that would be powerful for my audience and your audience as well. But one of the biggest topics that I wanted to start with and have you take the floor and explain, because you've had that experience in the Marine Corps and the military, what type of leader would you say you are? And more specifically, you talk about in one of your, I think it was one of your videos, you were talking about what specific qualities a successful leader has to have in order to succeed and actually motivate or inspire somebody. And so just take the floor from there.
One thing, I had the luxury, being in the Marine Corps, I had the luxury of coming across so many people in leadership positions. And one thing that we can always pick up is somebody that doesn't know what they're doing. And I've had the luxury to be able to be around people that literally don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, and I know it. I've been there. They're BS.
And they try to sell you they try to sell that to you. And it's like, come on, man. Like, I know the job. Like, you don't know it. But I've also been in a situation where I did not know what I was doing. you know, and it allowed me to have a certain empathy towards that situation. But it was like, honestly, it was recently. When I put that video up, somebody actually asked me that question recently. What is a leader to you? And I took a deep breath on that because it was something I just couldn't answer immediately anymore. Because everybody wants to be a leader. Everybody wants to get out front. Everybody wants to yell. Everybody wants to bark orders. Everybody wants to do something that puts them in that alpha male. Because let's be frank here, everybody want to be an alpha male. You know, you don't wake up in the morning and say to yourself like, yeah, you know, I really want to be a beta male, omega, you know. Yeah, you know what? You know, nobody wakes up and thinks to themselves like, yeah, you know, I really just want to get pushed around. You know, nobody wants that.
Nobody wants that, for sure.
You know, and then if you switch gears, you go to the gym. Ain't nobody in the gym thinking to themselves like, I'm putting up this weight, I'm setting new PRs, to think to myself like, yeah, you know, I can't wait till somebody comes and pushes me around. Like, no, that's not it. Everybody wants to be a leader. And everybody wants to be a leader, but nobody wants to follow. And that's the problem right there, is because everybody wants to lead, nobody wants to follow. And there's so much information, there's so much experience, and there's so much that you gain from following that a lot of people, you know, because we associate it so much with the aspect of he's a follower, he's second in command, he's this. You're not realizing that you're a student about to become a teacher. And when you finally get in that role as a teacher, you got to understand one thing and one thing only. When you say that you're a leader, when you walk into a room, ask yourself, is everybody safer because I'm here, or is everybody in danger because I'm here? And when I say safer or in danger, I don't mean it as you putting everybody's lives at risk, but some cases you probably are. But do you bring value when you walk into a room, or do you suck value out of the room? Do you grow these, you know, do you grow these Marines? Do you train these Marines? Do you grow these people? Do you empower these people? Do you make these people feel like they can be a better version of themselves the next day after you have left that room? Or is it all you doing is that they're carrying your slack and holding up the burden that you should be putting on your shoulders? And if you can ask yourself that, then you're ready to be a leader. But a lot of people, that's a thing that takes a lot of transparency. Mm-hmm. You got to be able to take a step back as a leader and say, what do I lack? Mm-hmm. What am I not doing? And we want to be leaders so much, but a lot of us are bosses. A lot of people are just bosses. Right. And when I say bosses, all they know how to do is just bark orders. And if you got a better idea, they don't want to hear it because it ain't their idea. So now you got to sell that idea in a way that they can see it, that it's theirs. A good leader can be able to sit back and be like this, yo, Cooper, we got this situation going on right now. This is what I think we should do. What do you think? You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And I get it. You know, it's a big difference. You know, it's a big difference between autocratic and democratic. I can bark orders all day. I can tell you how to get here all day. Yeah. And then I can also be able to, you know, set up a democracy and be like, hey, what do you think? What do you think? But it's value. What do I do as a person that's in charge, that's put in a certain situation to determine your financial being, your future, or let's just put it all in together, your life. Mm-hmm. You know? Yeah. Based off of the decisions that I make, I might end up getting you killed. And I need to be able to, you know, and a lot of people don't realize that, is that based off of certain situations, I might be setting you up for failure. Mm-hmm. So that's really what a leader is.
Yeah. And I think one of the best examples that you were talking about on your podcasts really hit home for me as far as understanding your weaknesses. And I struggle with this too. Since I started with my podcast, I used to say I used to say all these filler words. And I've been slowing things down and trying to speak with conviction. Everything I say is coming from the heart, but people really aren't they aren't really believing me. And I'm doing such a tough or hard, it's so hard for me to just press play and feel like what I'm giving to people is value, because I don't feel like I'm portraying it the way I want to portray it. And what you were talking about in your podcast recently was understanding that you need to stop apologizing for what you're saying. And if you want to talk more about that, I think that's going to really reside with people too, that when you're saying something with conviction, you believe it. Not everyone's going to believe it, but you yourself have to believe what you're saying, because you know that this is honest truth and this is what I believe that's going to help you with X, Y, or Z.
You know, it really, somebody recently told me that I apologize way too much. I apologize way too much. You know, for real, man. Like, you might even catch me saying, "Oh, I'm sorry," you know, during the interview. But it really just stemmed from a lot of times, because of the environment that I was in, I wasn't allowed to say certain things that were truly on my mind. And I just come from a different generation of parenthood. I come from just a different environment where certain things just weren't, I wasn't really trained to be, let me rephrase, let me take the word train out. I wasn't raised to be a free thinker.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to do this, don't question it, go do that. So, and the fact that I was a people pleaser too, that doesn't help the fact that I was a people pleaser. And when you're a people pleaser and you want everybody to like you, you want everybody to be your friend, you want everybody to be around you, you always going to try to meet everybody else's expectations. So you constantly apologize. So one thing that I wanted to do to make a change for myself was, if you want to make a change for yourself, you got to take the small things. You got to tackle the small things. Don't worry about the big stuff. Tackle the small things. And one of the biggest small things that you need to worry about is the way that you speak. Take words like should and could out of your sentences and start adding will. Should and could are very suggestive. We should go to the movies. Doesn't mean that we have to. It's just on the table. We could do this. Doesn't mean that we have to. It's just on the table. But when you say that we will go to the movies, hey man, go get your bag. We got to get out of here. We will do this workout. Vice, you should work legs out. Vice this, or you should eat healthy. That's it right there. You should eat healthy if you want to see better results. Doesn't mean I have to eat healthy. It just means that that's something that's on the table. No, you will do this. So when I started adding will instead of should and could, I also had to hit something else. I had to stop apologizing. And the reason why I had to stop apologizing is because when I speak, I'm speaking from my heart. I'm not speaking, I'm a reactor. So I'm not thinking about a lot of things. I'm saying what's really in my heart. Mm-hmm. If I'm calling spades, a duck, I'm speaking for real. I speak exactly from my heart, and it gets me in trouble so much because I'm saying exactly what I have been harboring. Mm-hmm. And the problem with that is that if you don't say it while you're sober, if you don't say it now while you got a strong forethought with it, you're going to say it later. You're going to slip up and say it anyway. So don't apologize. And the reason why we apologize is, and when we apologize for things that we feel, we hamper it. We damper the feeling down. We make our feelings seem weak. We make them seem like they're second place. Like, I tell you the truth about a situation and then I apologize about it. And it's like, why are you apologizing? You meant that. Mm-hmm. You meant exactly what you said. And imagine if we were, we're friends and you got me and you asked me for my advice and I tell you the truth about a situation. You're going to be mad because it hurt. But at the same time, at least I told you the truth. Yeah. So never apologize for how you feel. It's like apologizing for being real. And that's that's a big problem right there, is that there's not a lot of real people out here anymore.
It's tough love, especially with me trying to inspire my close friends or anybody that's reaching out to me on Instagram or whatever platform it may be, and trying to get them to realize that they can do, as far as fitness goals, as far as losing weight, as far as building muscle, everything like that is entirely possible, but it needs to come from yourself and having that own fire within. And I can do whatever I can as far as provide with you resources that could give you a short-term pump or a short-term excitement to go to the gym. But at the end of the day, man, like, you have to dive deep inside yourself and figure out what it's going to do, or what you have to think or feel, or what's in your head as far as a visual highlight reel in your head that's going to freaking fire you up. Because for me, I already know my why. I already know what ticks me off and gets me freaking fired up, whether it be a girlfriend that I used to have that broke up with me because she thought she could go find somebody else that would do something better for her life. And I had those moments, and it freaking sucks when you put yourself out there and get completely vulnerable with a girl or in a relationship where you just feel like you put everything out there and then she flips the script and says, nah, like, I don't want you. I want this guy, and this guy turns out to be a total scrub. Man, that gets me fired at 5 a.m. in the morning and tells me, like, man, like, I am going to do, like, so much bigger things than, what she thought. But I use those highlights in my head, and it just freaking gets me going, And I think this really ties into our next topic on just knowing that it's okay to be alone and feel and know the difference and understand being alone to feeling alone. My question to you and your perspective on this is, what is the difference between feeling alone and being alone?
Feeling alone and being alone, although they sound the same, these are two different states. You got to look at it like being alone is a physical thing. Feeling alone is an emotional thing. I could be in a room full of people And inside, I feel alone because I can't relate to these people. I don't know these people. You know, there's been cases where I've sat in a room full of people and I won't say anything because despite popular belief, I don't like talking to people. You know, it's crazy because I got a podcast. I'm a speaker. I'm a mentor, father, all that. I really just don't like interacting with people, you know, because it's so draining.
Yeah.
But being alone is I can be by myself right now and I can still feel at peace. And I always harped on those two situations because if you don't understand the two, you're always going to have an issue. And if you are afraid to be alone because you don't want to feel alone, then you're really going to have an issue because there's just certain things in life. There's just certain paths in life that just you going to have to go down by yourself. And if you're not comfortable with being by yourself, you always going to end up being a people pleaser. Matter of fact, because you're afraid of being by yourself, you always going to be a settler. And when I say a settler, I ain't talking about the ones that showed up on the dang on Mayflower that landed on Plymouth Rock. No, you going to be a settler in life.
That was a great analogy, by the way. I'm sorry, but that was great. I should be apologizing, but that was great.
No. That's it. And because, bro, like this is a genuine show, man. And that's why I'm happy to be here, man. Because when just the interaction that me and you had, I can already tell the energy was gonna be good. I can already tell that we clicked. You see what I'm saying? So I'm talking exactly how I'm supposed to be talking on my show. You feel me?
I like that.
And because you don't want to be alone in life, and you're afraid to be alone in life, you always gonna be a settler. And it's not just gonna trickle over into your relationships. It's gonna trickle over to your work life. It's gonna trickle over to your hobbies. You so afraid of being alone that you won't stand up for yourself when somebody picking on you because you're afraid of losing the group of friends that you so-called have. You so afraid of being alone that you won't stand up for yourself in a relationship. So you taking bits and pieces of whatever life giving you, and now you getting physically and emotionally abused by somebody that you worth more than and you could easily do better than, but you don't want them to leave you because you don't know how to handle yourself when you're alone. That's the problem. You so worried about being alone that you taking whatever they give you at your job when you should have quit a long time ago because your position is always going to be stagnant there. So if you don't know what it's like to be alone, and I'm a loner, and I got like this because I've been in the military for 10 years, and I had to leave my entire environment behind. My family couldn't come with me. My friends couldn't come with me. Mm-hmm. So I had to go through boot camp by myself. I had to go through training by myself. If I failed, I was going to fail by myself. And I had to get real comfortable with being by myself.
Wow. What would you say are the pros and the cons with that acceptance of knowing that when you feel alone, like this is okay, that everything on my end as far as whether or not I succeed is all in my hands. Like I have to take ownership of whatever it is I do, or just walk me through what you would say or the pros and cons in your eyes for feeling or being alone.
One of the things that we need to understand is that there's so much power in isolation. And because you are comfortable with being alone, you're not afraid to go into that room by yourself. And you're not afraid to be, and because you're in that room by yourself, you're able to debrief. You're able to decompress from the issues that are going on today. You're allowed to rehearse the scenario that you're about to tackle. And you're also allowed to go over the situation in your head so that way you can properly articulate your words to whoever it is, because you allowed yourself to be alone. Because you are comfortable with being alone, you are able to draw the line in the sand a lot easier. And when I say it's a lot easier for you to draw the line in the sand, if you don't want to be around me, don't be around me. I'm cool with being by myself. I could binge watch an entire show through a weekend by myself and have the time of my life. I don't need you. And because you are able to say that, and a lot of people don't want to say that, a lot of people are going to treat you a lot differently than they would somebody else. Because you're not afraid to be alone, the respect that you want is the respect that you're going to get. But because you are afraid to be alone, that respect that you want, you ain't gonna never get it because you ain't gonna never draw a line in the sand. Now you wondering why you constantly getting picked on or walked all over or stepped over or overlooked. But the caveat, because it's always a repercussion of being alone. And then one thing that I will say is because you are not afraid to be alone, one of the main problems that you're gonna come across is the same problem that I come across. You don't know how to properly be around people. You know, and I'm so socially awkward, you know, like because I'm so used to being alone. I'm like an animal that's been outside for so long. And when I come in the house, I'm looking around like, all right, so where do I use the bathroom at? Like, y'all don't, you know,
Yeah, it's
you know,
reality sets in. It just takes a minute, to get into your comfort zone. But I feel the same way too. I'm very introverted naturally, but I put myself out there and get out of my comfort zone because I know that's the only way to grow. I'm more than happy being by myself and working alone, or being in my room alone, working on my craft or working on my fitness, being in the gym. I would much rather be alone because I know I can get my stuff done and I'm focused and I want to clock in, clock out. I want to be there for 2+ hours because my objectives are working on my business or working with my family's company and trying to grow that. And I just find that so powerful based off of how you word things, that it's so powerful that you have the ability to work alone and feel at peace when you're alone.
Dude, I'm glad you brought up the gym. I hate working out with people. I hate it. I don't want to, when I go to the gym, it's either early in the morning or late in the day.
Same.
And the reason why is because I don't want to have that sidebar conversation. Like, what is we talking for? You don't see this weight above my body right now, man? Like, I don't want to have a conversation. I want to get in. I want to work. I want to knock this stuff out. Hey, what's going on, man? All right, back to work. Or we having a conversation and it's constantly this. All right, let me take the weight off. You put your weight on. Let me take mine off. Hey, I'm good by myself. Good by myself.
Yeah, no, it's seriously, for me, I know with my business that I have to get myself out of my comfort zone and work with people that I know or clients or what have you. And I love to be that spark. So I know when I'm going in the gym with somebody, it's planned. It's not a matter of, if I go to the gym, I'm here to socialize. Like, no, when I'm clocking in, I got my workout on my phone. Like, it's boom, boom, boom. Workout with my partner. Like, we're shooting shit, we're having fun, but it's motivating and we're getting on each other if we're not finishing our reps or if we're not putting in 110%, because we know that you got to put the work in now to get the results later. And it's, dude, how you say that, you're on spot on that. It's
dude, I mean,
go ahead.
You said it better because yeah, it's good to be alone, but I mean, once again, although there's power in isolation, there's also power in teamwork. Mm-hmm. Each one's always going to have its yin and its yang.
Absolutely.
And because you're working with somebody, you get the job done faster. Because you are working with somebody is holding you accountable. So if you're going to work with somebody, have somebody that has the exact same tenacity towards the situation as you do. Mm-hmm. Don't bring in the guy that this is second to him. Bring the guy that this is first. Just like it's first for you, it's first for him. This do or die just as much as it is for you. And y'all gonna flourish a lot faster.
Yeah.
So I definitely, I do agree. One thing about being a lone animal is that if you're a lone wolf, there's strength in numbers. We're communal creatures. Where pack mentality has to run strong sometimes. And because you are that lone wolf, you're vulnerable, you're by yourself. But I mean, although yes, you do feel that within, that you are army within, but it's always good to just have somebody by you, because sometimes our biggest enemies are ourselves. I might get in my head if I mess up on something, and I'll stay in my head all day. I need somebody sometimes to pull me out of that hole and be like, yo, like, it's not that deep. You just over exaggerate.
Yeah, go ahead, keep going.
No, go ahead. No.
Dude, there was one podcast that I was listening to with Ed Milet. He talks about, your life is a movie essentially, and you're going to have that supporting cast. You're going to have the close cast in your movie that get shown in a lot of film or parts of the movie, and they stay with you throughout your life. Those are the people that you surround yourself, that you think are the, like your mom, your dad, or whoever you want to put in your supporting cast that is with you for the ups and downs. And then you're going to have taxi driver number one, and you're going to have a lady in the red dress that's walking through a scene that might be a friend that you had in the past that you thought was someone that could be at or above your frequency or move at your frequency. But your life, as far as your ambition and your levels, is like a thermostat. And if you put it at a certain degree, and let's say your ambition level is at 110, there are going to be people surrounding you that are not at a frequency or a temperature at your level, and they're going to try to bring you down. They're going to try to bring you down to their level. And that's when you got to check yourself and know that your movie is supposed to be involved with people that are going to uplift you and keep you moving forward towards the end of your movie. And there's always going to be those small cast members that come and go. And like you were saying, as far as that anchor, sometimes you have to take out the negative people or people that just don't know you or understand what you're trying to do right now. And that's okay to cut those people off, because down the road, if they come back around, they understand where you're coming from or want to get to a level that you're at, then you will be with open arms and try to help them and support them in any way possible. You're only trying to provide value and find some sort of spark to get them going and to do whatever they want to do, right?
The thing that I love that you said is that, one, it's a hard pill to swallow. And when I say it's a hard pill to swallow, you know, a lot of people have people that's been in their lives for 20 years, 10 years, 5 years. And the crazy part is that all that time that they've been in been in their lives, they ain't brought no value. Mm-hmm. But then you're going to meet somebody the next day that will bring you more value than the person that you've known 20 years. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's so crazy to think that, because it's like, yo, like, what have you been doing in my life? You've been occupying my entire time. And I love the temperature analogy, because if you really look at it, you know, you might go into somebody's house and they'll tell you don't touch their thermometer. Don't touch the temperature. You don't pay no bills in here, so don't touch it. And you got two options. Either A, you can leave, or B, you can stay. And you got to look at it just like that. If you set your thermometer at this temperature and say that this is what my frequency, this is the level of frequency that I'm operating on, this is where my ambition is, this is where I want to be, either A, you leave, or B, you get to this temperature. That's exactly how you got to treat people in your life. And that's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people, because we'll bring our levels down. We will decrease our value so that way somebody else can purchase us.
Man, I'm going to take that for sure, and I'm going to run with it. That is so spot on, my friend. Couldn't have said it better. And to everybody listening, I know you're probably in the car. I know you're probably running, or you're just passively listening to this. I advise you to go back and go through this and take notes, because this is stuff that is going to be so applicable for you as you move forward in whatever it is that you want to do. I just think this is so powerful right now to what we're talking about. And what this leads to, what he was saying in the prior topic, what you say as far as critics being ourselves, like what are some of the cons associated with being alone and feeling alone? Like you talk about depression in one of your episodes, like how do you overcome abilities or things like that?
And yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up, because there's, just like what I said, there's so much power in isolation. Mm-hmm. But if you don't know how to operate in isolation, then there's a lot of issues that you're going to run in. And when I say that is, if you suffer from depression, if you suffer from anxiety, if you one of those type of people that gets in your head, and when you get in your head, you stay in your head, the last thing that you want to do is be alone. Because one of the things that I've learned is that one of our worst critics is us. I'm my worst critic. Mm-hmm. Somebody might tell me that I'm doing great, but because I have low self-esteem and I have to raise myself up, I can't even listen to my own episodes. You know, and the reason why I can't listen to my own, because I'm not hearing the message. I'm not hearing it. I'm hearing, oh, you swallowed in that. Well, I can hear you swallowing. I can hear you fidgeting. I can hear you doing this. Hey, you know what? Pull the episode. Nobody else needs to hear this. But somebody else is listening to it, and somebody else, we never, you know, just take all the filler words out. We don't know how beautiful we are unless we see it through somebody else's eyes. We won't. And I say that because we will talk so much about ourselves. We dull our light down just so we can shine with everybody else. We'll look at each other in the mirror, and I just had to tell somebody that you're beautiful, but they won't see it. They will not see it, because the eyes that they have already have gotten used to seeing this person. And you see it all the time, especially as a personal trainer. Somebody may lose weight. They used to be fat. Mm-hmm. They lose weight, but in their eyes, even though you tell them, yo, your body looks good, you look amazing, they still see that fat person in the mirror.
Right. It's hard to get them to see the positivity and the improvement and the progress, and understanding that this whole, in regards to fitness, that it's a journey, and those small things. And I was going to ask you this, as far as what builds you confidence. For me, and for what I've seen in other people's lives, is confidence comes from the small promises that you make every single day in improving yourself. For me, what gets me fired up and what keeps me confident in my abilities is knowing that every single morning I'm going to be up and I'm going to be grinding. I'm getting it after it. I'm getting up before majority of everybody that's getting up at 6 a.m. I'm getting up at 5:30 and I'm hitting the gym before you even clock in to get up. And you're probably going to hit snooze and I'm grinding. And I'm posting a video on my Instagram before you even probably wake up. And that gives me an edge. You got to find your edge. And so I want you to take the floor too on this, on what builds you confidence when you're feeling down.
One thing that keeps me going when I think all hope's lost, when one thing that's keeping me in the race, regardless of how bad it's getting, is the same thought that I had when I first joined the military. And it's so crazy because, you actually the first person that ever asked me that. But when I joined, I couldn't go back home. I would look at everybody else around me that would tap out at boot camp and say, I don't want to do this. I want to go home. I was like that. Like, it used to literally be like that. I don't want to do this. I want to go home. Like, it was bad. But I would look at them and I'd sit back and I'd think like, God, I wish I could go home. Because I told everybody that I wasn't coming back to Detroit. I told everybody that this was the step that I was going to take to better my life. So that moment has followed me all throughout my life. And I've had to deal with things that I never thought that I would be able to overcome. And every time I've always put it in my head, you can't quit. You don't have the luxury to quit. Everybody else around you can quit. You, unfortunately, you can't. You was poor. You ain't got no father figure. You ain't got no strong stability back home. What you gonna do? You gonna go back and work at Chrysler with everybody else? You ain't go to college. You better finish this, and then you can figure out later what's going on. So when you go through a situation, and my advice to everybody is that put yourself mentally in a situation where you can't tap out, regardless of the situation. This is do or die for you. Stop adding the first place, second place, and third place in your life. Make this simple. It's either yes or no. And I can I can assure you, regardless of the situation, you always going to push forward.
Yeah, nothing's better than going out there, telling everybody what you're going to do, say what you're going to say, and going out and doing it. One of the greatest feelings. And you just put yourself out there. Go ahead.
And it's like, I know you've seen it. All them people that say they going to do something, and then they do it for like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, even better. And then they quit. And then you looking at them like, hey, yo, what happened? And they give you all these excuses. That's the worst type of person you want to be. That's the worst feeling, is having to explain to somebody why you a quitter.
Oh, man. And one of the most powerful things for me, because I know fitness is so competitive, is when I look at the people locally, or look at people that are aspiring to be fitness trainers, what gets me so hyped and excited that I'm doing the right thing and I'm giving out the most value is like, I'm like CNN, I'm on like Fox Sports. I'm posting more content than all those guys combined. When they see me every single morning, it's posting on Instagram. They look at my Twitter. I'm posting something that's going to inspire them. And I look at their feeds, and I don't take in a lot of content from other people. I just take a peek at it every now and then, and they maybe post once a week. And I'm like, as far as the value added of what I'm doing, first off, for one thing, my content that I post on all my social media platforms, like you, are absolutely free. So for one thing, I am not taking anything from you. If anything, I'm jab, 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 right hook. I'm giving. And then at the end, I'm asking. And for those of you that don't know, Jab, Jab, Right Hook, that's a book from Gary Vee that talks about social media and how you can provide value to people and keep giving them as much content as possible and not asking anything for a return, but just letting them know, like, I'm giving you all this content. If you want more, you can go to platform X and go to my website and pay for whatever. But at the same time, the whole point of what I'm trying to say is you and I get pumped up knowing that someone's going to DM me or someone's going to look at me and look at my reputation saying, like, Cooper wants to do everything he can to get me to go in the gym and live a better life and be inspired and do something in their life that's going to fulfill them and have no regrets. Like, same thing with you. You're here to inspire everybody that is going to be watching you on your program, whether it's in YouTube, whether it's on your story on Instagram. If if Susie Q is watching your Instagram story and she sees one thing that she can relate to and retweets that or reposts that, man, like, doesn't that feel one of the greatest feelings in the world?
Yo, I remember when it first happened. I would see back before I actually switched gears and actually started to like actually be a motivational speaker and push the podcast and everything, I was always putting stuff in my stories. I was so self-conscious to put it in on a feed that would last longer than just 24 hours. That was way too much for me.
I know it.
And when I would see, you know, people would pull it here and there, or they'd be like, "Oh, you're so funny," and I was like, "All right, let's just keep it at I'm just funny." But then when I would tell people exactly how I felt, I would put it in my stories, and people would be like, "Yo, you should make a post about this," and I'm like, "Yeah, hey, let's not get too carried away." And I think my first post I did, and I was just sitting back, I was eating a piece of candy while I was talking, and it just everybody just reacted to it. I'm scrolling through somebody else's feed, I see me, and I'm like, dang, how did I end up back to my profile? I thought I had clicked my profile. That was me. I got shared.
No way.
And then I kept, you know, and I was like, at the moment, it was just like, it was such a small thing, but to me, I was like, somebody shared me? I'm on somebody else's page? And of course, the next day I checked to make sure that she ain't deleted. I was like, hey, let me make sure my stuff ain't get deleted. And it stayed, and they kept it. And people was reacting to it like, yo, who is that? Who is that? And then it would go somewhere else. Now, like, you know, I'll pull up one of my posts, and it'll be 50 people just shared your stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, even still to that exact moment, 50 people just shared me? What did I say that made 50 people share me? Or what is going on? You always one thing that I want to say is that although it's an amazing experience, make it feel like it's still the first time for you, and keep that exact same feeling. The reason why a lot of people bottom out or reach their peak essentially or plateau is because they don't feel like it's their first time anymore. It's the norm. That is not normal for me. I've had a post get shared over 100 times. That still feels like the first time for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's powerful. That's really powerful, because you get that complacency too, that you think that you have an entitlement on people owe you that respect. And at the same time, I do a lot of research on comedians, and they get that same mentality. You know, every single show you're doing, you're 110% full effort. Like, you want to be the top or the best that you can be at every given moment that you're giving out your joke, or in this case, as a motivational speaker, you're trying to provide the most relatable story or the most inspiring bit that is authentic to you. It's not a script that you read from Dale Carnegie or that you read from David Goggins. You might get some inspiration from him and get where his story's going, but you're doing it in your own craft, and that's what people are going to love more. And that's how I think my fitness or my journey with inspiring people and doing their own passion is going to be the separator, is making it your own and not like only pressing forward, not giving up. And when things get tough or when things are going great, you have to keep even keel the whole time.
Absolutely.
Let's switch gears too, because I know we want to talk about our third topic, which is leaving your comfort zone. And you talk about it on your podcast, but what are some of the risks of putting yourself out there and getting out of your comfort zone?
Everybody gonna hate you. like for real, everybody gonna hate you. You know, and you just gotta take that with a grain of salt. You know, is that when you leave your comfort zone, when you leave your house, you are running the risk of getting struck by lightning, hit by a car, something bad gonna happen to you. That's the same way you gotta look at it when you go on social media and put yourself out there. It's nothing but trolls under the bridge. So if you prepare for the negative to happen, it's gonna brighten your day when something positive happens. When I first did, I think I got a chance. A good friend of mine, Koke Yepes, he came and he said, "Yo, like, I want you to do this video with me. We're gonna be going through the obstacle course and everything of that nature." Yeah. Once again, I'm like, hell yeah, I'll do it. You ain't gotta ask a word. I'm there. I show up. You know, we do the thing. In the video, you got me like in the background. You hear me kicking this speech about like physical, mental, and character as far as like martial arts. That video went viral. It's all over the Marine Corp page. It's if you was a Marine, you either saw it or you shared it. Wow. But that was the first time that I had ever went viral. You feel me? And I'm looking through the comments and I'm just like, dang, man, like, okay, all right, slow down, man. You ain't got to be so negative to me. Like, one person was like, I don't know what the other guy is. Somebody brought up my forehead and I lost it. They brought up like, yo, like, oh man. Like, throughout this interview, I'm looking at your hair like, dang, I wish I had hair like that, man. Like, you got good hair.
I got a Maui Raiders plan, you know what I'm saying?
But
Wave.
and I really want to get this out there. I don't have a receding hairline. I just have a big forehead. You know? But
on the record.
on the record. But somebody brought that up, and I was just thinking to myself, like, dog, seriously? And I attacked them. You know, I was like, hey, hold up, pause, man. I understand that we kicking some motivation and stuff like that, but make sure you have that energy when you see me. That is going to be exhausting if you try to maintain that exact type of frequency throughout the entire time. Because regardless of the situation, somebody's always going to have something negative to say to you. Mm-hmm. And the wolf doesn't leave the pack to worry about the opinions of sheep. That person that has something negative about you, guess what they did? They watched your entire video. That video probably 5 minutes or 10 minutes. They sat there and gave 10 minutes of their time just so they can articulate a message, you see what I'm saying, to say about you. They viewed it. So once again, it's still a view, it's still a comment, regardless if it's positive or negative. You got to be able to extract that positive out of it. Mm-hmm. And I always say that anybody that wants to step out of their comfort zone, everybody going to be a critic. Everybody going to be able to reinvent the wheel. Everybody going to say to themselves, oh, I can do it better. Somebody that goes to the gym right now, I'm pretty sure they looking at everybody around them and they saying to themselves, dang, I wish I could put up that weight. I wish I can do this. Somebody trying to put 135 on the bar, thinking they about to warm up with that, negative. Go get them dang on 10s and put that on that bar. you know, but that's hard. That's so embarrassing. It's humbling. Mm-hmm. I remember when I had to do that. I'm going to the gym with somebody. I see him put some heavy weight on. I think I'm about to do that. Weight come crashing down. Mm-hmm. He take the weight off, put this light weight on, and I got to put that up. But what I want you to understand about that is that although everybody going to look at you, they're going to say something about you, they're going to critique you. Regardless of the situation, you did something that nobody else did. You stepped out of your comfort zone. You put yourself out there. You display something that nobody else is going to do. Somebody that's got something negative to say to you up under your comments, that's it. Because they ain't going to never say it to you face to face. You know how many times I've said somebody, I literally went through somebody's profile, and I'm a terrible person with this. I went through somebody's profile, found out where they stayed, and I said just like this. I said, look, man, California way too small for you to be talking all that crazy stuff up under my pictures. Like I'm not in the same state within the exact same county as you. So we're going to see each other. We're going to see each other.
I would be absolutely terrified. I would not want to get associated with that.
You know, and I said it just like this. And I was trying to be still motivational and positive. Mm-hmm. So instead of just saying like, have that exact same energy when you see me, I said, please ensure that you manifest that exact same energy that you're currently displaying towards me when we encounter each other in the physical state. Mm-hmm. But in reality, you know, and I'm thinking to myself like, dog, regardless of the situation, let it go, bro. Like, let it go. Because you going to crash your car looking at everybody else in the lanes. You're going to crash your car. Regardless. Yeah. Stay in your lane. Keep driving.
Yeah, no, that's well said. It's tough too. You're always going to see the negativity in social media, and especially with the new platforms with I laugh when I say this because I know TikTok is kind of more of a little kid, younger audience, but I've been getting ripped up on there too because people are behind the screens just being trolls and trolling about my workouts or trolling about what it is that I'm talking about. And it's just too exhausting to even have to comment or reply to it. Because, you know, if they are spending the time and effort to look at your video or make fun of you or give any sort of negative comment, it's like, man, you sit back and you're like, this is what you do on your free time. You like to go on people's videos, and I just feel so bad for them. I want to be able to go ahead.
It's like, have you ever just seen one of the people like went to their profile and seen a person that's negative that ever said something about you?
Yeah.
That ain't normal people. Them ain't normal people. And I say it in this type of manner. Every time I see somebody that say something negative about me, they got an Instagram profile. They picture like this close to their face. You know, they ain't following nobody. They only got like one post. It's always some weird stuff associated with it. They always got a whole bunch of memes. They self-conscious. They don't want nobody to see them. Most of the time, internet troll look like a real troll in life. And I say it in a manner, they're all like, you know, that's how I see them. Somebody that's got the nerve to critique your workouts, I can assure you right now, ain't even step foot in the gym. They can't even do a simple, you know, calisthenic. They can't pull their upper body up on the bar at least once. And I don't say that to down nobody, because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people that can't do it. But most of the time that somebody that has something negative to say about you is looking at you, that saying to themselves, I wish I looked like that. I wish I could do that. I wish I had that confidence. I wish I did this. I 100% guarantee you that.
Yeah, and that's where I try to really get inside of people and have them feel like they can feel comfortable to reach out to me and just ask me whether it's a simple question. Like, I'm sure you get DMs that you might think in your head, you're like, oh my God, this is like such a basic question. But sometimes people got to hear that. They got to hear, how do you build confidence? And that's such an open-ended question, but your answer could totally change their perspective, you know? And that's why I'm so pumped that we got that on film. All of these topics right now, like for everybody tuning in, this is awesome. This is such a great podcast, and I hope we can do something down the road once we
absolutely
build leverage, and we can, if anything, we're just growing on both of our platforms. So that's exciting in itself, because I know that you have the drive and the will to keep moving, and you got stuff going as far as new platforms down the line. But our last topics, I know I've been holding you off for some time. We've been chatting for a little over an hour, but on your recent podcast as well, you talk about reviewing the past, but moving forward. Can you walk us through a little bit about what you were talking in that sense? Just for reference, you're talking about forgiveness and certain things you do not tolerate, and I'll let you take the floor from there.
Reviewing the past, but moving forward. History has always been our best teacher. And the reason why it's our best teacher is because one thing about history is that it repeats itself. And that if you don't review history, if you don't learn a lesson from anything that you have, you're going to wind up redoing it and repeating it. So I say review the past, but move forward. That means so much for a lot of things. You fail at something. A lot of people look at failure as the opposite of success, when it's actually a part of the process to success. You should want to fail. You should walk into the situation pushing yourself to failure, because you have pushed yourself past your limits. And after everything is done, you take a step back and review everything. We both played sports before, and one thing that I'm pretty sure your coach did, and I know my coach did, he had us watch the game.
Mm-hmm.
And in the game, you know, he's telling you like, yo, like you threw it this way wrong, you ran this way wrong, I didn't like this. You're reviewing the tape. Review the tape.
Self-auditing.
You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we don't want to do that, because our past hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Our past can hurt us. If you review some people's past, they don't want to go back to that person because that person was weak. They don't want to go back because that person was vulnerable. They don't want to go back because that person got walked on by somebody and got treated like crap. So they don't want to think about it. They try to put that stuff back there and bury it up under a whole bunch of success and accomplishments. But if you don't review it, I can assure you that person is going to come back around again. Those mistakes that you made, you're going to do them again, because you ain't learned from nothing. You just hid it.
Mm-hmm.
The person that I am now I just became this person, you know, and I say I just became this person because I was a completely different person last year.
Mm-hmm.
The year before that, I was a completely different person. And I say that because each year I become somebody different, whether that's an upgraded version of who I am or I've regressed and became back to where I was at because of something that happened. But one thing that I always learned is to review the past. There's stuff that happened to me when I was in the military in life that just, I hate remembering it. You know, like I've done things that I hate remembering. Sometimes I'll be sitting back and it'll come across my mind and it'll emotionally trigger me.
Mm-hmm.
But because of that, I'm allowed to move forward. I'm allowed to learn. I'm allowed to grow. And if you can't do that, and I use a relationship as an example. You had a crappy relationship. You just got out of it. If you don't take some time and sit in isolation and review what just transpired throughout that relationship, guess what you're about to do? As soon as you get out of that relationship, you're about to hop in another one that was just as worse.
Yeah.
You keep messing up and you keep failing at jobs. You don't take a step back and say, what am I doing wrong? Why did I fail at this job? Why did I just get fired? Why didn't I get this promotion? If you don't analyze what your tape, you're about to do it again in the next game.
It's well said, my friend. Wow. That is, dude, spot on. I can't even, I had something I wanted to say and then you just answered it and you said it with ease. Like the only thing I would throw in on there is with baseball, you know, constant critique with your hitting.
Uh-huh.
I know when I was in college, I had coach right next to me when we're watching BP or we're watching our game film and they're just breaking everything apart. And you can be ignorant and you can be entitled and say, no, like, I know my swing better than you do. Like, have that approach, but you need to understand that you got to follow up on your weaknesses and leverage your weaknesses on your strengths, but you have to be self-aware. That's one of the biggest things is awareness and understanding what you're doing wrong, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's in your diet or in your fitness or in your business. It is going back and reflecting on the good things, the bad things. And for me, I know with goal setting, when it comes to fitness, I'm right now when I'm getting done in an 8 to 10 week span. Like, that's how I do my programming. I'll do phases where, you know, I want to bulk. So what is it going to take to get to X amount? I don't really look at the weight as far as what I weigh in, but I want to look at myself in the mirror and keep myself accountable. Like what you were saying is sometimes you got to look at yourself in the mirror and say, yo, Cooper, what the fuck are you doing right now?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you getting in the gym 4 to 5 times a week? Are you telling yourself, are you eating the way you want to eat? Because those small little days where you cheat on yourself, those are, like you said, with building and improving upon your tone or your flow of speech and not apologizing. If you don't stop doing that, then it's going to keep moving and you're not going to progress. You're just going to flat out stay baseline. And those small little improvements that you make every single day is what helps you ultimately to building that skill set that you didn't once have.
I could not agree more, man. Like, especially like when you go in the gym, like one thing that I would tell somebody, accept your small victories, praise your small victories, because a lot of times we say that, oh, I want to have a summer body, but we don't have a summer body and visualize. We just know that this is what it looks like. This is what we want, but it don't got no weight to it. It ain't got no tone to it. We ain't got nothing added to it. This is just a summer body. Pay attention to your small victories. Analyze your small victories. Praise your small victories. Look at how much weight you have lost. Look how many accomplishments that you have done. Look how much you have done to this point, vice where you started at.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, and I can assure you, you will be happy, because one thing that we got a habit of doing, we got a habit of we'll say things like this. I want a summer body. All right, so what is a summer body? If you don't know what a summer body is, you're going to constantly keep chasing a summer body because you're going to be waiting to look for a summer body. I don't want to go into financial debt. What is financial debt to you? Because if that's the case, you always in financial debt, because there's no real numbers to what you consider financially in debt. What do you consider a failure? Because I think failing is something different by what you think it is. And if you don't have a definition of what failure is, you always going to be a failure to your expectations. Praise yourself and understand exactly what you be asking for.
Exactly. And stop keeping up with the Joneses. You know, when we talk about financial debt, like, you realize the people that are winning are the people that are truly happy with what they're doing, and they're making X amount and they're spending Y amount, and they're making that spread in between. They're saving. And those people, especially with people in middle upper class that have to play this rank game where they have to wear the Gucci, or they have to have that new car, or they have to just rep that bling bling or that new Nike or Jordan shoe out in public because they feel like that's the most important thing that they have to show on their Instagram and pop it and show it on Instagram, especially with girls too, man. I know with insecurity on having to post a booty pic or something stupid like that to get likes. I know with Australia, what they're doing right now is, I'm kind of getting off topic, but with Australia right now, yeah, they're taking off the likes for Instagram, which is blowing my mind. And I think it's super smart as far as strategy with how Instagram is going right now, is people are posting for catering it towards the likes. So we're losing creativity, and that's why the algorithm with Instagram is not giving you the impressions that you want to see. And so by not having those likes produces more creativity. And I think it's just super interesting how they're doing it, and it's working as far as letting people going, especially in the fitness world, not having to take off your shirt and show your muscles and actually talk about topics that you want to talk about, whether it's depression or going through interesting topics that you want to talk about. Like, if you want to talk about a hobby and you're fitness related and something that might not be more attractive looking on Instagram, but it's something that you're passionate about, then freaking go for it and send it out. Like, don't hold back. And what I applaud and appreciate with you is, man, you're just doing your thing, and sure, you're gonna have the bad negativity feedback, what have you, but you're just like, fuck it, I'm gonna keep doing my thing. I'm knowing I'm inspiring 50 plus 100 plus people every single day, and that's all I care about. All I care about is giving my 2 cents on things and inspiring others and being that little flame that people need just to get kickstart something of some sort.
And that's really what it all comes down to, man. It's like, when I got into this, I didn't know I was going to be speaking. I honest to God did not. I thought in the exact same way that everybody in the military thought, we're going to push this out to 20 years. And when 20 years comes, when I go back to being an adult, let me rephrase, when I go back to the real world, I'll figure it out from there. I didn't know. And a lot of times, when you don't live in your purpose, you ain't gonna find your purpose. So when I finally found out what I was good at, it lit a spark within me. And it didn't light a monetary value of, oh, I can speak and make money. No. Because what's lit the spark was I spoke at a leadership event, and a Marine came up to me. And the Marine looked at me and she said, "Sorry, I just wanted to tell you that what you said, it just really just hit me." And I'm looking at her like, "Hey, whoa, Marine, what you crying about? What we crying about? Pause, wipe them tears. I'm in the business of making people cry, but not like this." But what I had said really touched her. And that's one thing that I always wanted to be, is that, yes, I'm a motivational speaker. And I say that with pride, because a lot of people don't want to say that they're a motivational speaker. They want to say that I'm this specialist, I'm this type of. No, I'm really giving motivation. But not only am I giving motivation, I'm also going to be that spark within your life that ignites the change that you're supposed to be. Because at the end of the day, all I want to see you do is become the better version of yourself. And I don't know what that version is, but I know that it's a version that's a lot better than whatever you're going through in your life right now. And all I want to do is just push you right off the ledge. That's it. Or at least walk you to it. At least walk you to it. Because at the end of the day, the power of influence is so strong, and a lot of people do not understand what it truly means to be an influence. I might speak to you right now, and I even do it in an event manner. I'll go out, I'll speak to 100 people at an event. Even though I spoke to 100 people, only 10 people actually heard the message. And it's crazy because I only spoke to 100. Those 10 are going to go ahead, they're going to tell their friends. Their friends will tell their friends. Their friends will tell their friends, and their friends will tell their friends. Next thing you know, my message has reached the thousands when I only spoke to 100. That's what influence truly is.
Right.
Just because you don't have a whole bunch of clientele lined up, you got 3 people. And them 3 people are making all the progress that they need to make in their lives. And when somebody looks at them and says to them like, "Dang, your body look good." Yo, Coop got me together. Wait, I apologize. Do people call you Coop?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
No, spot on. You nailed it.
All right. And it was like, Coop got me together. And they like, "Oh, for real? Let me call them up." And then bang, now they came back. You see what I'm saying? That's what influence is. To go back to your first question, when I asked what a leader is, a leader is somebody that can influence you. And it's either you're going to be a toxic leader or a good leader. You can influence them for the bad, or you can influence them for the good. But at the end of the day, you need to understand that you're training somebody as your replacement. This person is going to take your place. And that's the idea that you need to have. So you need to empower him with everything that you wish somebody would have gave you, and then some. You need to train somebody. You need to help somebody. You need to guide somebody with everything that you wish that somebody would have told you. When people come up to me and they ask me like, "Yo, like, how do you become more confident? How do you do this? How do you put yourself out there?" I tell them what I wish somebody would have told me. It ain't nothing of what I want you to hear. It's what I wish somebody would have said to me. And it resonates. And if it doesn't resonate, hey man, I was the wrong person to come to.
Yeah. No, I like that approach. I think that's going to be something I'm going to definitely think about and use in the back of my head, because at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to strive to do, especially with fitness. It's making sure when I have that time with you that I don't want you to keep referring to me. I want you to have that mindset and let me share with you as much as I can that I wish I knew at that given moment, if I were to take everything back aside and start over, and they can just do their thing, have their passion, do what it is they need to do, and then every now and then talk to me or ask me questions. But we're good. Everything's here. It's good. I'm just moving forward and I'm telling other people about it. And then we just go ahead and move forward. And that's how we do it.
Absolutely. And that's the most powerful thing right there, because especially because you have clients. You see what I'm saying? And you might have 5 clients for that whole year.
Mm-hmm.
You might have 5 clients for 5 years straight. But guess what? You still got 5 clients, regardless of the situation. And they staying with you because of you. They ain't staying with you because you did something extraordinary. They staying with you because you are the extraordinary person.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people always look at it like, dang, man, I only got, I wish I had more money. You got $100. Well, I wish I had more. You got $100. A lot of people ain't even got that.
Right.
There's so much value in the things that we take for granted that we kind of just overlook. And that's one thing that I always wanted to get away from.
Yeah. No, it's perspective. But all right, man, I don't have any other questions for you, but I enjoyed talking with you, my man. I hope moving forward that we can do another episode once we get the ball rolling. And I know that you got a lot of things going on your end. Before we end the podcast, though, just for my audience, how can they reach out to you?
And just like that, another extraordinary thought left this ordinary mind. I hope you enjoyed this episode half as much as I enjoyed making it. Follow me on Instagram at OMG It's Meech. Once again, that's OMG It's Meech. Meech is spelled MEECH. Speaking of Instagram, the YouTube channel is finally out. Extraordinary Thoughts for the Ordinary Mind. Go ahead and subscribe. Tap into the videos. I'm available on Facebook as Meechy D Thigpen. Stay hungry. Stay motivated. I'm out.